First, I would like to thank AIGA for giving me this opportunity to share my portfolio. This whole week, I've seen some amazing portfolios from the design community, and I'm honored to have been considered. And thank you so much, Lisa, for your insightful and inspiring presentation, and for taking the time to review my work. All right.
Thank you, Francine. It's an honor.
So my name is Francine Lubin, and I am an incoming freshman in college. I don't have any noteworthy experience in design or illustration. I don't have a big platform, and I don't work for a big company. And if you took the time to look at my resume, there wouldn't be much to see. My art experience doesn't move farther than the classroom or the clubs that I've took part in during high school, but I still wanted my art to be seen. Sorry. I took advanced placement studio art this year in hopes that I could get my art out there. When I put my portfolio together, it's like I could see everything I've been through and how much I've struggled. When I realized I wouldn't be able to present due to the COVID-19 crisis, I didn't know what to do or how to feel. I knew that I had to take any chance I had to share my artwork, especially in the current political and humanitarian crisis the United States is in today. I was born and raised in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and I've been moving in and out of predominantly white, small towns since I was a child. My parents were both born in Haiti, and I currently live in Whitensville, Massachusetts. Pun intended, it's a very white town. I didn't have a lot of Black friends growing up, but I had my family and my cousins who lived in the area. It wasn't until I moved to Massachusetts in 3rd grade that I really experienced racism. Some of you may be surprised by how young I was, but that's how it's like being young and being Black in America. So what does it mean to be Black in America? By no means is there one way to be Black, but there's a central struggle in our community. At the same time, there's a sense of camaraderie. Being Black in America is pain. Being Black in America is power. Being Black in America is tragic, but also beautiful. I wanted to fully encapsulate what it's like being Black in America and illustrate the pain and power that comes with being a Black person during slavery, Jim Crow, now, and all the years in between. And in the wake of the death of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and countless others, I feel my work is more important now than ever. Identity, beauty, brutality, peace, protest, control, and death. These were the themes of my investigation. So who am I, and what is my place in this ever-changing world? Adolescents question their identity until early adulthood, but I know exactly who I am. I'm a young woman who was raised by 2 hardworking immigrants, and I am blessed to know my roots, but most African Americans cannot relate. Slavery messed up any ancestry these people have. These people adopted the last names of their masters, losing their African roots. So I wanted to open my presentation with this self-portrait because this is the one piece I didn't have to do any research for. I didn't have to take an ancestry test to find myself. This is me. I originally wanted to do a piece centered around Black woman's hair. I saw the perfect reference photo to use. One with weave, the second with natural afro, and the third with braids. But I later noticed that the woman in the center had the lightest skin, and the 2 other women had darker skin. In the photo that was supposed to promote Black beauty and inclusion almost came off as colorist. The woman in the center was automatically perceived by photography standards as the most beautiful and the center point of attraction. I wanted to change that, so I switched it up in my painting, and the woman with the darkest skin was in the center. Ahmaud Arbery was lynched in a neighborhood in Georgia by 3 white supremacists while he was on a run. Soon after his death gained national attention, the hashtag #IRunWithMaud movement started, which inspired this piece. Lots of people, including celebrities, were sharing pictures of their Apple and Samsung watches after running exactly 2.23 miles. As you can see, I painted what Ahmaud's Apple Watch would look like in his final moments. I also like the idea of portraying peace between Black and whites. The title comes from MLK's I Have a Dream speech, and in the speech, King dreams that one day little white boys and girls will join hands with little black boys and girls. I wanted to show a white hand reaching out to hold a black hand, and though it's a simple gesture, just the act of reaching out to hold and heal is so important and what King would have wanted. But there's so much work to do to bring his dream to fruition, and we have a long way to go. I also wanted to depict how Black history repeats itself and how these people have faced so much hardship and still managed to participate in nonviolent protests. First, I found a reference photo of a man dated from the I'm a Man protests back in the 60s. Then I painted the whole portrait with the exception of the sign, which I changed to Black Lives Matter. I also included the names of people who have died in the name of white supremacy. From Emmett Till to Tamir Rice, history continues to repeat itself in the most horrific ways. I question the United States' willingness to learn from past mistakes and why Black Americans have been stuck in a fight for equality for hundreds of years. I did the same with this painting with the reference photo that was taken in 2014. And if you are very observant, you will notice that I only use men's names out of the list I put together for the I am a man sign. My idea from the poster comes from a documentary I saw online called Icarus. I had seen that poster multiple times before. I saw other graphic designers do their own rendition of it too. I love the idea of control and ventriloquism with a larger menacing figure. So I decided to run with this theme of control and apply it back to Black history and depict how much the white man had control over the Black man during slavery. Memento mori, remember you must die. This is an art form that dates back to the Renaissance. When I was forming the concept of this piece, I started thinking more and more about what it means to be a human and how humanity was stripped of Blacks through lynching. I called it Strange Fruit because I was inspired by the song originally performed by Billie Holiday and reimagined by Nina Simone. The most prominent example of this symbolism was the magnolias, which are a state flower in Mississippi, and the most lynchings in the United States took place in Mississippi. Not only did I want to portray this injustice that has happened for hundreds and hundreds of years in the United States, but I also wanted to pay homage to the song. In addition, the burning tree in the background is also very symbolic, as these people would light up the trees Black bodies hung from to dispose of the bodies more quickly. I also really wanted to do another piece with the theme of death, experimenting with memento mori. Since I took a historic approach with Strange Fruit, I wanted to take a more modern approach. So I investigated the shooting death of Trayvon Martin. Though I knew the basic information about his death and how it affected the Black community, I wanted to go even deeper. I found that he had been walking down the street after shopping at a nearby 7-Eleven. He bought Skittles and an Arizona tea. He was unarmed. George Zimmerman shot him and was protected by the state of Florida under the Stand Your Ground law, hence the title of my piece. So as my presentation comes to a close, there will clearly be a conversation about my portfolio, as that is what I signed up for. But I'm hoping that all of you, 1,000 or so viewers, can take something away from my presentation and start another conversation and speak out when you see injustice happening. Because as Americans, we cannot allow ourselves to live behind a mask of a post-racial society without confronting our past. If we do, injustice will keep happening, and eventually none of us will be able to breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, Francine. I'll turn it directly over to Lisa for her thoughts.
Francine, I am so happily and proudly uncomfortable. Thank you for making me uncomfortable. And I hope every single person who's looking is uncomfortable. Thank you. I think that we look away. I call it the turn away effect. You know, you're watching the show and the commercial comes on with the puppies and all, and you're like, okay, right. I call it the turnaway effect. We have lost the luxury of turning away. Great. I'm so glad, right? So that's my first response. But you just graduated high school. You're about to start college, Francine. Is that correct? I wrote that twice and I can't accept that. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Listen, you are so far beyond any high schooler. I don't even know how that is possible. Everything in your life that I know it was hard. I heard it was hard, okay? I'm not happy that it happened that way, but it's made you amazing. It's made you amazing. Like, I was not at all where you are when I was going to college. I was looking for a party. I am so inspired. Wow. So yeah, I'm gonna forget to say this, so I have to say this right now. You are going to be amazing in your whole life. And the way you showed up today, you show up. You keep showing up and show out. And hold us accountable. We owe you guys. Okay? It shouldn't be this screwed up in 2020. We should have fixed some of this by now, and we haven't. So we've let you down. And so we owe it to you to help you fix it. And I'm just glad you guys still even talk to us. This is beautiful. Your work is beautiful. All right. I want to know what you want out of this, because I wrote down all these notes and I really want this to be the experience you want to have. So what are you looking for me specifically, any or all, or just, I don't want to load that up. I just want to know if you have a specific.
I don't really have well, maybe some guidance, like just coming out of like high school. I'm not really familiar with a lot of career paths or like ways to get yourself out there. But yeah, like nothing really specific, just anything would be good advice.
Right. So I know a lot of designers who can do illustration, and I know more designers who can't illustrate well. So we can't do anything without you guys. It's a really big deal to have illustrators, right? Like every publication you've ever looked at has illustrators. The New York Sunday Times magazine can't do anything without you. Barnes and Nobles is done without you guys. Like so much of what we do is visual, right? So we are counting on you guys to make it more clear than just the words and the composition that those of us who can't illustrate can do. So I feel like illustration in its own right is an absolutely noble, noble, noble thing to do. And there are great illustration programs. The one big piece of advice around college that I would tell you, after having taught college for 20 years, and this is big, decide for yourself. I'm sorry to your parents that I'm about to say this. Decide for yourself what feels right for you. They will support you. They may not come around as early as you want them to. Some of them don't come around ever. My parents were not at all supportive of me studying design at all, okay? But I did it anyway. And your life is yours to decide. So you get to decide that, okay? Illustration is a beautiful thing. Also graphic design, by the way, just saying, big deal for me. And if you do graphic design, being able to illustrate this beautifully, you're totally there, right? So I'll tell you some of the things that I've seen. First of all, I love how you talked about community and commodity with regard to Black skin. I think that is just a brilliant narrative. And I'm hoping that you really kind of really lean in on that. I think that leads to such beautiful imagery in my mind as to what that could look like. So I'm actually putting that challenge back out to you. You have work that is so thought-provoking and so very, I wrote down conceptually sound. And so what I mean by that is that your ideas, the way your brain connects the stimulus and how you translate it for people. Like, you are an absolutely natural born translator. And you really, really do show people instead of telling them exactly what they need to get from it. And it's delivered clear and clean. And you're not even a freshman in college. Like, I'm just gonna keep saying that. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. I promise that of all the years teaching, that is one of the hardest things for people to try to get if they don't have it without pounds and pounds and pounds of research. And you seem to be naturally good at that. So it's one of those things that I want to make sure that you understand. You are unbelievably conceptually clear and sound, and it's wonderful. I also love how you did this straight line from slavery to the death penalty. It sort of reminded me of Ava DuVernay's 13, but it also made me want to extend a personal invitation to you. And so I'm inviting you personally and specifically, the moment that COVID is over and we're allowed to see people and travel and do this stuff, I am absolutely inviting you to come with me to Alabama. I know I said Alabama, but, oh, sorry if you're from Alabama. To Brian Stevenson's Legacy Museum.
Oh, yeah.
It is a really important thing for you to see as soon as possible. I am inviting you as my guest. I would love to take you there. I want to show you how he draws a straight line from slavery to mass incarceration. And it's kind of what you naturally did from sort of slavery to the death penalty. And I think it would be just this enriching experience for you. Museums are a big part of how I became who I am. Museums in Brooklyn are two of my biggest influences. And I would love to share that with you because I think it's gonna be kind of a life-changing thing for you in some way. I don't know what way, and I would love for you to share that with me. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, sorry, really quickly. I love that you show the references of where you got things because it shows that you honor that, and it's really important. And that Arbery piece where you show what his Apple Watch would look like is my personal favorite, only because the conceptual component of that and that thought, I will be stuck with that forever. That is the biggest connection that I made with you today. And I'm never gonna not have that. So I wanted you to know that. I'll stop talking. I talk a lot, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was actually a last minute piece in my portfolio that I submitted to College Board, but yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
Oh, good. Thank you for the pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for reviewing my work. I really appreciate it.
Very grateful.